First contact facade. The Valerian diplomatic vessel Starweaver emerged from fold space at the edge of Earth's solar system, its crystalline hull refracting sunlight in mesmerizing patterns. Ambassador Zyra next stood at the observation deck, her bioluminescent markings pulsing with anticipation. This was meant to be a routine first contact with yet another developing civilization, but something about the sensor readings troubled her deeply. Ambassador, called Science Officer Vron from his station, multifaceted eyes reflecting the holographic displays before him. I'm detecting significant anomalies in the human technological profile. Zyra glided across the deck, her ceremonial robes floating in the ship's artificial gravity. Explain. Their development pattern defies all known models. They're simultaneously using primitive combustion engines and what appears to be zero-point energy generation. Their communications infrastructure employs both copper wire networks and quantum entanglement arrays. Vron's antennae twitched in confusion. It's as if they're deliberately mixing advanced and primitive technologies. Perhaps they simply developed unevenly, suggested first contact specialist Mira, though her tone carried doubt. In her centuries of experience, she had never encountered anything quite like this. As they approached Earth, more inconsistencies emerged. The humans had detected their arrival instantly, despite supposedly lacking advanced sensor arrays. The designated landing site in a region called Kazakhstan was perfectly calibrated to their ship specifications, yet Earth supposedly hadn't encountered alien vessels before. The welcoming committee consisted of just 3 humans waiting calmly in the steps, no media circus, no military parade, no panicking crowds. Just a man and 2 women in simple clothing, standing beside what appeared to be a primitive ground vehicle. I don't like this, Mira murmured as they prepared to disembark. Their behavior doesn't match any known first contact protocols. Zyra silently agreed, but they were committed now. As the ship's ramp descended, she prepared her carefully crafted speech about welcoming humanity into the galactic community. The words died in her throat as one of the humans stepped forward. Welcome to Earth, Ambassador Nex, he said in perfect Valerian, his pronunciation flawless. I'm Dr. Thomas Reeves, Earth's diplomatic liaison. I trust your journey through the Carina Arm was pleasant. The solar winds can be quite turbulent this time of year. Zyra's secondary hearts skipped a beat. They hadn't told Earth their route, and how did he know about the solar wind patterns in their sector? You speak our language, she managed, trying to maintain her diplomatic composure. Dr. Reeves smiled warmly. We find it's helpful to be prepared. Shall we head inside? We've prepared a facility that matches Valerian atmospheric preferences, though I should warn you our technology might seem a bit eclectic. The facility he led them to appeared to be a simple concrete bunker, yet Zyra's personal scanner detected energy readings that shouldn't be possible with Earth's supposed level of advancement. The door opened with an old-fashioned mechanical handle, but the air inside was perfectly calibrated to Valerian physiology down to the trace elements. Please make yourselves comfortable, Dr. Reeves gestured to chairs that seemed to be made of plain metal but somehow adjusted automatically to support Valerian anatomy. Would you like refreshments? We have synthesized your traditional welcoming drink, though some visitors prefer our human tea. Vron's antennae coiled tightly. How could you possibly know how to synthesize dash? Trial and error, one of the women interrupted with a gentle smile. She introduced herself as Dr. Anya Volkov, technological advisor. We're quite good at figuring things out. Tea, Ambassador. Zyra accepted a cup of the steaming human beverage, noting how the seemingly simple ceramic mug maintained the liquid at precisely the optimal temperature without any visible technology. Every detail reinforced the growing suspicion that they were missing something enormous about humanity. I believe, Dr. Reeves said, settling into his own chair, you have questions. Let's start with the one you haven't asked yet. Why would a civilization capable of synthesizing Valerian biochemistry and building quantum-adjusted atmospheric systems pretend to be struggling with fossil fuels? The veil lifts. Before Zyra could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. The third human, who had remained silent until now, checked what appeared to be an antiquated wristwatch. "Right on schedule," she said grimly. "I'm Commander Lucia Santos, Earth Defense." "Ambassador, it seems the universe has decided to show rather than tell. We're detecting multiple ships dropping out of fold space," Vron reported, consulting his portable scanner. "Energy signatures match harvester warships from the Ophiuchi sector. They're known for targeting developing worlds." His voice trailed off as he processed the implications. "And they believe Earth is defenseless," Dr. Volkov finished, her pleasant demeanor shifting to something ancient and powerful. "Would you like to see what humanity is really capable of, Ambassador? We've been protecting younger civilizations from threats like this since before your people mastered fire." The simple concrete walls around them transformed, revealing a command center that made the Starweaver's bridge look primitive by comparison. Holographic displays materialized from thin air, showing the approaching harvester fleet, 12 warships bristling with weapons that could reduce continents to ash. "Standard containment protocol?" Commander Santos asked, her fingers dancing across what looked like an ancient mechanical keyboard but somehow controlled systems beyond Valerian understanding. "Agreed," Dr. Reeves nodded. "Let's keep civilian casualties to 0 this time." The harvester ships never knew what hit them. Their vessels, each capable of devastating entire planetary defense systems, simply stopped. No explosions, no dramatic battles, they froze in space as if caught in amber. "Localized spacetime manipulation field," Dr. Volkov explained casually to the stunned Valerian delegation. "Much cleaner than weapons. Less paperwork too." Ambassador Zyra watched as the harvester fleet was gently guided into a holding pattern around Earth's moon, her bioluminescent markings pulsing white with complete astonishment. "You possess technology that can control spacetime itself, yet your cities still burn fossil fuels." "Among other things," Commander Santos replied, her archaic keyboard somehow orchestrating the most sophisticated containment operation Zyra had ever witnessed. "The harvesters are secure. Dr. Reeves, shall we proceed to Phase 2? Dr. Reeves nodded, turning to their visitors. "Ambassador, we've been concealing ourselves for millennia, guiding younger civilizations from the shadows. But something is coming, something that requires us to be more direct in our approach." Before Zyra could respond, a new alert flashed across the command center screens. Light years away, at the edge of Valerian space, an archaeological team had just made a discovery that would shatter the galaxy's understanding of history. Preliminary analysis confirmed, Vron read from his scanner, his antennae rigid with shock. "The artifacts, they're not just predating known civilization. They're human in origin." The command center in Kazakhstan displayed the archaeological team's findings in real time. Dr. Volkov smiled softly. "Right on schedule. Ambassador, would you like to know why we've maintained our technological masquerade for so long?" She gestured, and the facility's walls became transparent, revealing vast underground complexes stretching for kilometers in every direction. Ancient ships, temporal observatories, and technologies that defied description stood alongside simple steam engines and internal combustion motors. "Humanity reached the stars millions of years ago," Dr. Reeves explained. "We built empires, fought wars that made stars go dark, wielded power that no species should possess. And then we realized something that nearly destroyed us: technology without wisdom is a path to extinction." Commander Santos pulled up historical records that made Myra's chromatophores pale. "We nearly wiped ourselves out dozens of times before we understood that true advancement isn't about having the most powerful tools, it's about knowing when not to use them." Across the galaxy, more discoveries were pouring in, human artifacts millions of years old found on thousands of worlds, each piece telling the same story, an ancient civilization that had reached godlike power and chosen to step back. "We established Earth as a preserve," Dr. Volkov continued. "A place to remember our roots, to maintain perspective. Those fossil fuel plants you mentioned. They remind us of the cost of progress without foresight. The simple machines teach us humility. Every piece of primitive technology serves a purpose in our development program. Development program? Zaira asked, her diplomatic training struggling to process the implications. For ourselves and others, Dr. Reeves smiled. We've been guiding younger species, helping them avoid our mistakes. Those harvesters we just stopped. They'll wake up tomorrow with no memory of the incident but with a mysterious new understanding of why conquest isn't the answer. Suddenly, every screen in the facility lit up with urgent warnings. Dr. Volkov's expression turned grave. And now you understand why we're revealing ourselves. Something is awakening out there, something we fought eons ago, something that requires us to stop hiding and start preparing the galaxy's younger races for what's coming. The images on the screen showed a darkness spreading between the stars, a void that consumed light itself. Commander Santos's ancient-looking wristwatch projected a countdown that made the humans' expressions turn grim. Ambassador, Dr. Reeves said softly, your people call themselves the Valerian Confederation, masters of known space. But there are regions of space that aren't known, threats that we've been holding back since before your ancestors learned to harness electricity. It's time for humanity to step out of the shadows, not as conquerors, but as teachers. And if we refuse your guidance? Vron asked, his scientific skepticism warring with the evidence before him. Dr. Volkov chuckled. My dear friend, you've been accepting our guidance for centuries. Every mysterious scientific breakthrough, every seemingly impossible leap in understanding, we've been there, nudging, suggesting, protecting. The only difference now is that we're telling you about it. Ancient echoes. As if to emphasize Dr. Volkov's point, a section of the facility's floor became transparent, revealing a vast chamber filled with ships that made the Valerian Starweaver look like a primitive shuttle. Yet among these marvels stood museums of simple machines, preserved as carefully as any ancient treasure. The question isn't whether you'll accept our guidance, Commander Santos said, her eyes fixed on the spreading darkness in the long-range scans. The question is whether the galaxy's younger races are ready to learn what humanity discovered millions of years ago. The most advanced civilization isn't the one with the most powerful weapons, it's the one wise enough to know when not to use them. Deep within the archaeological site at the edge of Valerian space, lead researcher Krell Th stared at her findings in disbelief. Her team had uncovered what appeared to be a monitoring station, its architecture unlike anything in known history. The facility's age, according to their most advanced dating methods, placed its construction at over 3 million years ago. Central Authority, she reported, her four-fingered hands trembling as they activated the quantum communicator, the human artifacts, they're not just remnants. The facility is still active. The command center in Kazakhstan displayed her transmission in real time. Dr. Reeves nodded solemnly. Krell Th's discovery is just the beginning. That facility is one of thousands we established across the galaxy during our first expansion. Each one serves as both a memorial and a safeguard. As if responding to his words, the ancient facility began to power up. Holographic displays flickered to life, showing star maps that made Krell Th's scientific team gasp in awe. The known galaxy was there, but so were hundreds of regions that no modern civilization had ever charted. The void entities, Dr. Volkov explained, gesturing to the spreading darkness on their own screens. We pushed them back into those unknown regions millions of years ago, sealed them away when we realized they couldn't be destroyed. The seals are weakening now. Ambassador Zaira watched as more archaeological reports flooded in from across known space. On a desert world in the Carina sector, researchers uncovered a library containing the complete history of humanity's first stellar empire. In the frozen wastes of a gas giant's moon, explorers found a weapons facility that defied comprehension. Why reveal all this now? Mira asked, her diplomatic training struggling to process the scope of what they were learning. Why maintain the deception for so long only to expose everything at once? Commander Santos's ancient wristwatch projected a new set of coordinates, highlighting a pattern in the approaching darkness that only the humans seemed to understand. Because the void entities aren't just awakening, they're evolving. The seals we created were based on mathematical constants we believed to be universal. But the void, it's learning. Dr. Reeves led them deeper into the facility, through corridors that seemed to bend space itself. They emerged in what appeared to be a simple library, filled with paper books and wooden shelves. Yet when Vron scanned the room, his instruments registered energy readings that surpassed anything in the known galaxy. "This is our true archive," Dr. Volkov explained, running her hand along a shelf of ancient texts. "Not the technology, not the weapons, but the wisdom we gained from our mistakes. Each book contains lessons learned over millions of years of trial and error." She pulled a simple leather-bound volume from the shelf, its pages yellowed with age. "This one documents our first encounter with the void entities, 9 million years ago. We were like children with a new toy then, wielding power we didn't understand. Our response was to build bigger weapons, stronger shields, more powerful engines. We nearly destroyed reality itself before we realized our mistake." The facility's alarms changed tone, becoming deeper, more urgent. Commander Santos's expression darkened as she checked her watch. "The void entities have breached the first seal. They'll reach populated space within a standard year. But surely with your technology, you can stop them?" Zyra asked, her bioluminescence pulsing with concern. "The power you've demonstrated." "Power isn't the answer," Dr. Reeves interrupted gently. "That's the lesson we learned, the wisdom we've been trying to share subtly with younger races. The void entities feed on energy, the more power you use against them, the stronger they become. That's why we sealed them away instead of trying to destroy them." Dr. Volkov placed the book back on its shelf, her movements deliberate and precise. "We've spent millions of years preparing for their return, not by building weapons, but by guiding the galaxy's civilizations toward understanding. Every seemingly primitive technology we maintain on Earth, every piece of ancient wisdom we've preserved, it's all part of the solution." The archive room's walls shifted, revealing humanity's true history. They watched as human civilization rose and fell multiple times, each cycle reaching further into the cosmos, wielding greater power, until finally achieving something beyond mere technological supremacy, wisdom. Becoming Storm. In a chamber deep beneath the Himalayas, Director Rashid Hassan stood before the time wall, a vast display showing the simultaneous flow of events across thousands of worlds. His simple linen clothing belied his authority over technology that could reshape reality itself. "Status report," he commanded, his eyes tracking the spreading tendrils of void that crept between the stars like ink through water. "The Valerian delegation is adapting well to the revelations," reported his AI companion Nova, manifesting as a subtle shimmer in the air. "Ambassador Nexa's psychological readings indicate acceptance rather than resistance. Dr. Reeves's approach appears to have been successful." Rashid nodded, watching as another screen showed Krell-TH's archaeological team making further discoveries. The young alien scientists' findings were carefully orchestrated, each revelation timed to help the galaxy's civilizations understand what they would soon face. Back in Kazakhstan, Ambassador Zyra and her team were trying to process the implications of humanity's latest revelations. The archive room had transformed into what appeared to be a simple lecture hall, complete with wooden chairs and a traditional chalkboard. Yet each piece of furniture contained technology that would have been considered mythical by most spacefaring races. "Your civilization's development was not natural," Dr. Volkov explained, sketching what looked like a basic timeline on the chalkboard. The marks she made shimmered with quantum probability calculations that made Vron's scientific instruments overload. "We've been guiding your evolution, your technological progress, your philosophical development, all to prepare you for this moment." "Why us?" Mira asked, her diplomatic training finally reasserting itself. "Of all the civilizations in known space, why choose the Valerians as your first confidants?" Commander Santos smiled, her ancient wristwatch projecting a map of Valerian cultural development across the centuries. "Because you questioned everything. Every step of your advancement was marked by philosophical debate, ethical consideration, and careful thought. Even when we arranged for you to discover antimatter technology, your first response wasn't to weaponize it, but to contemplate its implications. Suddenly, alerts began pulsing through the facility. The void entities had breached another seal, decades ahead of the most pessimistic predictions. Dr. Reeves's expression turned grave as he studied the data streams. "They're learning faster than we anticipated," he murmured. "Director Hassan, are you seeing this?" The air shimmered, and Rashid's image appeared in the center of the room. "I am." The void entities have adapted to the quantum harmonics of the outer seals. They're not just breaking through, they're using our own containment technology against us. "Impossible," Vron interjected, his scientific curiosity overriding protocol. "You can't reverse engineer technology you can't perceive. Our studies show the void entities are non-baryonic. They shouldn't be able to interact with normal matter at all. Unless, Ambassador Zyra's bioluminescence pulsed with sudden understanding, they're not just learning our technology. They're learning from us. From all of us. Every civilization's attempts to study them, to understand them." "Exactly," Rashid nodded approvingly. "This is why we chose the Valerians. You see patterns others miss. The void entities aren't just a force of destruction, they're a collective intelligence, evolving through every interaction, every attempt to contain them." The facility's displays shifted, showing the void entities' progression over millions of years. Each encounter with a civilization had changed them, made them more complex, more adaptable. Humanity's ancient seals hadn't just contained them, they had created an evolutionary pressure cooker. "We made a mistake," Dr. Volkov admitted, her hand passing through the holographic representation of the void. "In our arrogance, we thought we could simply lock them away, give ourselves time to prepare. Instead, we forced them to evolve, to become something far more dangerous than what we originally faced." Commander Santos's wristwatch suddenly emitted a tone that made all the humans freeze. "Third seal breach confirmed," she announced grimly. "They're not just breaking through, they're converting our containment fields into expansion corridors. At this rate, they'll reach populated space within months, not years." "Then we're doomed," Mira whispered, but Dr. Reeves shook his head. "No," he said firmly. "This is exactly why we've spent millions of years preparing, why we maintained our technological masquerade, why we guided younger races toward wisdom rather than pure power. The void entities expect us to fight them with energy, with force, with all the massive technological might we possessed in our prime. But that's not our plan at all." Rashid's image walked to the simple chalkboard, picked up a piece of chalk, and began to write. The equation he sketched seemed absurdly simple, yet it made Vron's scientific instruments short out completely. "The answer was never about power," Rashid explained. "It was about understanding. Every primitive technology we maintained, every ancient machine we preserved, they're not relics. They're reminders. The void entities evolved to counter complexity, to feed on energy, to corrupt advanced technology. But they have no defense against simplicity. Hidden guardians." Professor Junko Tanaka's laboratory beneath Mount Fuji appeared, at first glance, to be nothing more than an old-fashioned workshop. Wooden workbenches held simple mechanical devices, brass gears turned alongside crystal circuits, and steam hissed through pipes that somehow conducted quantum information. "Every technology has its place," she explained to the Valerian delegation as they materialized in her lab through what looked like an ordinary doorway. "The void entities evolved to counter complexity, so we must learn to achieve complex results through simple means." Ambassador Zyra watched in fascination as the elderly professor picked up what appeared to be a basic pendulum. As it swung, ripples spread through space-time itself, its simple motion somehow affecting reality at a fundamental level. "Impossible," Vron whispered, his scientific instruments struggling to process what they were seeing. "The energy readings, they're both massive and minimal simultaneously." "How?" The same way a child's swing can reach great heights with tiny pushes, Professor Tanaka smiled, setting down the pendulum. Resonance. Harmony. Understanding the fundamental rhythms of reality rather than forcing our will upon it. The laboratory's walls shifted, revealing endless rows of similar devices, countless variations of simple machines that achieved extraordinary effects through elegant design rather than brute force. Each one represented a different approach to manipulating reality without the energy signatures that attracted and empowered the void entities. Director Hassan's image appeared beside them, his expression both grave and hopeful. This is why we maintained our technological masquerade. Every primitive machine we kept, every simple solution we preserved, they're not just reminders of our past. They're templates for our future. The void entities expect us to fight them with antimatter cannons and temporal disruption fields, Commander Santos added, her ancient wristwatch now revealed to be one of Tanaka's resonance devices. They've spent millions of years evolving defenses against advanced technology. But they have no concept of mechanical advantage, of subtle manipulation, of achieving great effects through minimal means. Dr. Volkov stepped forward, holding what looked like an ordinary glass prism. This is why we chose this moment to reveal ourselves. Not just because the threat is imminent, but because humanity has finally mastered what we call retrograde advancement, the art of achieving advanced results through simplified means. As if to demonstrate, she held the prism up to the light. The spectrum it produced seemed to bend reality itself, creating a cascade of effects that rippled through spacetime without generating any energy signature that the void entities could detect or consume. My God, Mira breathed, her diplomatic training forgotten in the face of such elegant complexity. Your entire technological regression, it wasn't regression at all. It was evolution. Precisely, Professor Tanaka nodded approvingly. We didn't abandon our advanced technology. We transcended it. Every civilization follows the same pattern, achieving power through increasing complexity. We learned to achieve the same results through simplicity. The facility's alerts changed tone again, but this time the humans didn't seem concerned. If anything, they appeared satisfied. The void entities have breached the fourth seal, Director Hassan announced. But they don't realize that the seals themselves are part of our defense. Each breach teaches them to counter a particular type of advanced technology, pushing them further down the path we've prepared. Dr. Reeves gestured to the endless rows of simple machines. This is humanity's true legacy, not the ability to tear apart stars or reshape planets, but the wisdom to achieve the impossible through elegant simplicity. And now, we need to teach this wisdom to every civilization in the galaxy. How long do we have? Ambassador Zaira asked, her bioluminescence pulsing with a mix of concern and determination. 3 months until they reach populated space, Commander Santos replied, checking her resonance device. But thanks to temporal manipulation, we have all the time we need to prepare. Professor? Professor Tanaka smiled, picking up what appeared to be an ordinary pocket watch. Time is just another force to be guided rather than commanded. Observe. She opened the watch's case, revealing an intricate arrangement of gears and springs that somehow created a bubble of dilated time around the laboratory. Outside, stars wheeled past at incredible speed while they remained in a pocket of stretched time. In here, we have years to work, she explained. Years to teach, to prepare, to help every civilization in the galaxy understand what humanity learned through millions of years of trial and error. And you believe this will be enough? Vron asked, his scientific skepticism warring with the evidence before him. Simple machines against entities that can consume stars. Not simple machines, Director Hassan corrected gently. Simple wisdom. The understanding that the most elegant solution is often the most primitive. The void entities evolved to counter power with power, complexity with complexity. They have no defense against elegant simplicity. Dawn of Unity. The void entities breached the final seal exactly as humanity had predicted. They poured into normal space like living darkness, a vast consciousness evolved through millions of years of containment. But as they approached the first inhabited systems, something unexpected happened. Nothing. No antimatter bombardment. No temporal weapons. No desperate last stand by humanity's hidden fleets. Just silence, and simplicity, and thousands of worlds waiting with devices that looked more suited to a museum than a battlefield. In the command center beneath Kazakhstan, Ambassador Zaira watched the sensors alongside her human counterparts. "They're slowing," she observed, her bioluminescence pulsing with cautious hope. "The void entities, they're actually slowing down." "They're confused," Professor Tanaka explained, adjusting one of her resonance devices. "For millions of years, they evolved to counter power with power, to consume energy in corrupt complex technology. But they've never encountered anything like this. Across known space, on thousands of worlds, civilizations had spent their subjective years of preparation well. Every planet now hosted networks of Professor Tanaka's simple machines, pendulums swinging in perfect harmony, mechanical computers running on gears and springs, crystalline matrices that achieved quantum effects through pure geometry. "Look," Vron pointed to his displays, his scientific curiosity overriding his anxiety. "The void entities, they're trying to analyze the devices, to adapt to them. But there's nothing for them to corrupt, no energy signatures to consume." Director Hassan nodded approvingly. "They evolved to counter complexity with complexity. When faced with pure simplicity, they have no response. Every attempt to adapt only makes them more confused." The viewing screens showed the void entities advance grinding to a halt as they encountered system after system filled with elegant simple machines. Each device operated on principles so basic that they were virtually invisible to entities that had evolved to counter only the most advanced technology. "But surely they'll adapt eventually," Mira suggested, her diplomatic training making her search for potential problems. "They've had millions of years to evolve." "That's exactly the point," Dr. Reeves smiled. "Evolution requires pressure, direction. By removing all complexity from their environment, we're not giving them anything to adapt to. It's like trying to evolve countermeasures against gravity itself." Commander Santos's resonance device chimed softly. "Phase 2 is ready," she announced. "All systems report harmonic convergence. Across the galaxy, on every world touched by humanity's guidance, identical scenes played out. Simple mechanical devices began moving in perfect synchronization, pendulums swinging, gears turning, crystals resonating. Each individual machine was primitive, but together they created something unprecedented, a galaxy-wide lattice of pure, fundamental harmony." "Now," Professor Tanaka commanded softly, adjusting her pocket watch with delicate precision. The effect was both subtle and profound. Reality itself began to vibrate in sympathy with the countless simple machines. Space-time rippled not with force or energy, but with pure geometric harmony. The void entities, evolved to consume and corrupt complex energy patterns, found themselves caught in a web of fundamental simplicity. "They're not being destroyed," Dr. Volkov explained to the amazed Valerian delegation. "They're being taught. Every simple machine shows them a different way to exist in harmony with normal spacetime rather than consuming it." On the displays, the void entities' attempts to advance had ceased entirely. The living darkness that had threatened to consume the galaxy was instead beginning to resonate with the harmony of infinite simple machines. "This is what we spent millions of years preparing for," Director Hassan said quietly. "Not a battle, but a conversation. Not destruction, but understanding. We didn't need to defeat the void entities, we needed to show them a different way to be." Ambassador Zaira watched in wonder as the void entities began to change, their very nature shifting as they learned from the simple wisdom humanity had spread throughout the galaxy. "And this is why you maintained your technological masquerade? Why you guided younger races toward understanding rather than pure advancement?" "Precisely," Professor Tanaka smiled, closing her pocket watch with a soft click. The greatest power isn't the ability to destroy or dominate, but the wisdom to find harmony. Every primitive machine we preserved, every simple solution we maintained, they were all leading to this moment. As the void entities continued their transformation, Dr. Reeves turned to the Valerian delegation. And now, my friends, the real work begins. The galaxy's civilizations are ready for the next step in their development. Not an advancement in technology, but an advancement in wisdom. The simple machines continued their synchronized motion, teaching their profound lesson to entities that had evolved beyond comprehension. And in that moment, as humanity's true legacy spread throughout the cosmos, Ambassador Zyra finally understood. Her people hadn't been chosen as humanity's first confidants because of their power or their technology, but because they had always valued wisdom over mere advancement. The dawn of a new era had arrived, not with a bang of superior firepower, but with the quiet tick of a perfectly crafted clock, teaching the fundamental rhythms of existence to beings that had forgotten how to dance. The end.